I'm Alan Weiss, and this is The Writing on the Wall. Good evening, I'm Walter Cronkite. Well, I'm not Walter Cronkite, but didn't you love that? Those of you old enough to remember Walter Cronkite would come along and give us the news, or Huntley and Brinkley. Good night, Chet. Good night, David. We believed those people. They were pretty good. Today, who knows what to believe? This is Writing on the Wall, and today's episode is politics as usual. You'll be seeing this, I would guess, in February sometime, well before the election, but well after a lot of these debates. And all these people in the Democratic Party, it seems to me, and this is a nonpartisan statement, are competing to run in the wrong direction. You know, yes or no is never answered yes or no. The moderator asks the question, and they duck out of it. Do you believe, do you agree for free health care for all? Well, let me tell you about some of my beliefs, particularly about immigration. Doesn't answer the question. They're afraid to stake their positions. You know, putting a stake in the ground came from the Aztecs. The Aztecs would put a stake in the ground, tether their ankle to it, and fight and win or die on the spot. None of these candidates, it seems to me, is willing to fight or die or win on the spot. They want to equivocate. You know, they turn their guns on the current frontrunner, undermining them to elevate themselves. It's not about issues. It's not about infrastructure in the country. It's not about the criminal justice system. It's about how do you shoot down the person in front of you. And there's never an if-then. There's never a tangible demonstration of how to pay and what it will take. And whether it's free education or free health care or higher minimum wage, there's never a discussion of what it's going to cost to do that, because there's always a cost. And an honest candidate, a Walter Cronkite candidate, would tell you, here's what my plan would cost. And stop telling me you're going to create the funding by eliminating waste. That doesn't go very far with me. Sort of a wasteful statement. It seems like the default position in these debates is the word free. Free entry into the country, free tuition, free health care, you name it. But free is the magic word. But there is no such thing as a free lunch, to quote science fiction writer Robert Heinlein. And so somebody's got to pay for it, and it's going to be you and me. The more challenged, the more extreme that the candidates become, the more they move away from the center, which is a strategic error. They should be moving toward the center. They should be moving to embrace as many people as they can. But they think an extreme position will win. They're starting to find that's not true. As I'm recording this today, just a day or two ago, Elizabeth Warren was in Iowa preparing for that first caucus and primary out there. And of course, that's because Iowa represents the United States so accurately. And she's already backing off her health care plan with free this and free that, because she realizes it's not resonating. There are people who are asking, how can we do that? And is it the right thing to do? The candidates are clearly handled. They're prepared with sound bites, like a cannon primed to fire, but their aim is often off, and they shoot themselves in the foot. I remember the great debate, you know, where the feedback line was, I knew Jack Kennedy and you're no Jack Kennedy. That was against Dan Quayle, right? I remember Reagan saying, I know age is an issue and I won't pick on the callow youth of my opponent. These are sound bites waiting to be exploded, waiting to be primed and shot. But there's no respect for the listener. There's no respect for the intellect of the viewer. Kamala Harris, when she was in the race, would start a sentence talking to Joe Biden with, I know you're not a racist, but, and after that would come a list of racist charges. Does she think we don't understand what she was doing with that? I think we need more respect from the candidates who simply think sound bites will do it. Speaking Spanish on stage is so lame, I hardly know where to begin with it. It is so pandering. It is so pathetic. If I were of Hispanic origin, I would be insulted. You know, everywhere I go in the world, by the way, every major city, and we just came back from Dubai and Hanoi not long ago, people speak English. Cab drivers, shopkeepers, hotel concierges, doesn't matter what your job is, you speak English. And they speak English to hold their jobs and to survive. And it seems the only exception to that is in the United States. The TV moderators like high school reporters. They don't insist on the questions being answered. They ask a question, the candidate goes off and around, and they don't demand it be answered. They go overtime and they don't shut off their mic. They're not demanding. They're afraid. They seem they don't want to stop people or get back to their own question. What's actually revealed is a large group of people here that's being whittled down who desperately want power. They desperately want to be in power, and they do not desperately want to serve you and me. They just want power. At least that's my impression. You know, they have very little humor. Everyone takes themselves far too seriously. I mean, there's humor in this. The Republic has survived with far less competent people than these, and with more vainglorious people than these, and with more insidious people than these. Here we are, 250 years later, we've survived. It's a process created by geniuses that can be run by idiots. So what does it take to find a statesman or a stateswoman? You know, in boxing, they would call this group of candidates the undercard. They're talking about a brokered convention right now, meaning none of these candidates will get the nomination, and there'll have to be some wheeling and dealing. Where's the main event? Why does no one impress me? Do people impress you? Do they stand out? My predictions are the debates won't change any minds and that an alarming proportion of the registered voters will once again not vote. That's depressing. But we all get the kind of government we deserve, and we need to face up to that.